This is Kapil Vahi on Twitter. Kapil, thank you for waiting patiently for your question to come up. Do you think dropping Rahane in South Africa and Pujara in England cost us the series, and not picking Jadeja in Perth too? So we're talking dropping Rahane in South Africa, cover that, Pujara in England, and dropping Jadeja in Perth.
I mean, this is a vexing issue, and it's not an easy question to answer. I think it was unusual to not see Rahane play in South Africa in one of the matches. Pujara not being picked for the first match in England, and then of course he came back and made a century. And so I think they were trying out a new strategy. Now you might ask, how can you have a strategy without a Pujara or a Rahane? Yes, but I think this all out, go out in just go out and blast the opposition was one of the tactics that they tried in South Africa. Remember, in one match they played only fast bowlers. There was no spinner there, like they did at Perth. So that's the last part of the question, whether Jadeja should have played at Perth. I think a lot of this, these issues, we become wiser in hindsight. In Perth, I think having won the first test, they thought that let's go and use all of fast bowlers, bowl this team out twice because they are low on morale, and make sure that we've secured the series. We can't lose from here. It boomeranged. So in hindsight, you can say yes, a Jadeja would have been helpful. I don't think that the Perth tactic was particularly wrong. It didn't work because Umesh had an indifferent match. Not that he was very poor, but he had an indifferent match. Rahane and Pujara, I think both those decisions were, well, to use the mildest word, offbeat. And I think now when you look back, you might say that certainly Pujara has kind of re-established his credentials in such magnificent way, that I think nobody will drop him for a long while. Rahane, I still feel the big score is eluding him. Now, is that because his confidence was dented in South Africa? I think he's too high quality a player and too seasoned a player to let it weigh on his mind for so long. So he looked good in Australia. I think he's still searching that one big score which will put him back in the forefront, and I hope that comes soon enough. But we're not playing any test match for at least 6-7 months. So that's the wait he has to endure.
So Gaurav Soi has obviously been hearing us talk in great detail about the KL Rahul and Hardik Pandya incident on the Karan Johar TV show, and he says, what about Karan Johar? It's all planned. If you're taking action against Hardik and KL, how about against Kejo too? Not for us to comment.
No, but Kejo doesn't belong to he doesn't come into the purview of the BCCI. So, look, as an anchor, you might say it's a good show. I'm eliciting some really interesting responses. So I wouldn't blame Kejo or Karan Johar for that.
Yeah, likewise. I completely agree with that. Being an anchor myself. We just ask the provocative questions. Whether the other person takes the bait or not is not.
Masala chahiye.
Okay, we're going to take some messages and come back with more questions of yours. Thank you for keeping our WhatsApp line buzzing. So hang by.